As the dynamic duo continues to chase the mysterious Memento killer, their own relationship ends up hitting the rocks. Will father and son's relationship be able to weather this oncoming storm? Well, let's hop into the pages of Batman and Robin issue number 18 and find out together, shall we? So then, picking up directly from where the last issue left off, Batman had responded to a gang war recently being waged by the forces of the Penguin versus the forces of Tiger Shark. And because Bruce and Damian aren't exactly seeing eye to eye right now because of this whole Memento killer case, Red Hood has decided to join up and help Batman even the odds. And admittedly, yeah, it is pretty fun to see Jason out there in the field again. Of course, what Jason doesn't know is that Batman is also still feeling the residual effects of Gravedigger's poppy, the ancient psychoactive drug favored by the Memento killer that forces Batman to see all sorts of visions of the dead, including the day that Jason himself died. The heroes have the situation mostly under control when everything ends up getting thrown for a loop when the SWAT team shows up. One of their guys gets shot, and because of that, the rest of them decide to go all gladiator cop, throwing caution to the wind and chasing the gun-toting gangsters inside a building where things could go very badly very quickly. Batman tries to get them to withdraw, saying that he'll bring the shooters out, only for the SWAT leader to tell him to go to hell. Batman doesn't take that very nicely, and because of that decides to turn his attention on the SWAT team, which is an interesting idea in and of itself. We haven't actively seen Batman defy the police like this in a long time, but the whole situation ends up taking a very, well, let's call it a Frank Millerian turn when Batman points out that this SWAT leader has a Metropolis accent. He's not from here. He doesn't understand this city. This is my city. Before he eventually grappling hooks him up and knocks him the hell out, forcing the other cops to pull back. Yeah, Batman basically just had his own I am above the law moment. And yeah, in fairness, the SWAT guys were being a little jackbooted and they were making the situation a lot worse, but I mean, they did technically have authority in this situation, and Batman is a vigilante. And I mean, if he had to beat him up, did he also have to rub salt into the wound by insulting how he speaks to? He can't control that, Bruce. Now, while all that is going on, Robin and Detective Lorik have decided to look into Jonathan Crane's old laboratory, which just so happens to be right in the shadow of Gotham University. Oh yeah, no one's gonna look there, the place that he used to work before becoming a supervillain. Lorik again continues to be very critical of Robin's work with Batman, saying that it's unfair that a child, even an exceptional child like Damian, should be doing any of this. He should be having friends and hobbies. I mean, he did go to school in the last run, but this newest run seems to have forgotten that completely. Though credit where credit is due, one piece of Damian characterization that does actually remain consistent is his love of animals. You see, Damian takes in one of Crane's test monkeys right away. In fact, they learn a lot from the scared creature right away, mainly that someone has been experimenting on this poor thing recently. And unfortunately, it's still tripping balls on the Gravedigger's poppy, seeing all sorts of shit that's not there. Now, back at the gang rumble, Red Hood actually gets brave enough to ask Batman about what caused this newest falling out with Damian. He says, is this his Harvey's night moment? Only for Batman to ask, what the hell does that mean? Well, apparently Harvey's night is a little in-joke amongst all of the Bat family's sidekicks. One, a horrible night that changed everything in a young hero's life when they were never able to look at anything the same way ever again. The night wherein many of them considered hanging up their costumes for the first time. Batman says that Damian would never quit, that the city needs him, that he wouldn't allow it. And yeah, that sounds like a real controlling father dickhead thing to say, but I promise it will actually make a little bit more sense later on. Furthermore, Red Hood says that Damian could care less about the city. Many of the sidekicks didn't care about the city, they only cared about winning Batman's approval, which again, I greatly disagree with. But then again, this might be one of those situations where Jason is just kind of speaking for everyone. Now back at Crane's lab, Lorik and Robin actually end up making some major headway. They find Crane's old notebooks as well as a series of brand new fresh notes written in pencil by someone clearly different and someone who was seemingly here not all that long ago. In fact, as Lorik implies, the writing here looks very familiar, writing belonging to the original Memento killer, as well as her and Batman's crime scene mentor from Scotland Yard, Dr. Bly. Yes, that's right, everyone. Bly apparently was charged with the original Memento murders after they found a metric ton of evidence in his flat, which is of course British for a house, the sort of things that he could only have if he was the killer. But wait, you're probably thinking, how could that be possible? In the last issue, we saw a young Bruce Wayne sneak into a power plant and see both Dr. Bly and the Memento killer, proving that they were in fact two different people and not one and the same. Well, about that, young Bruce probably could have talked to the police, but he didn't. He was was living in England illegally at the time. And the things he saw involving Memento made him challenge every preconceived notion he had had previously. Honestly, I don't like that as an explanation at all, because it sounds like Batman willingly let an innocent man, a friend and mentor no less, rot away in an insane asylum till his dying days because he couldn't be bothered to actually try and clear his name. For what it's worth, Lorik is trying to clear Bly's name, though in fact that's the whole reason she's seemingly here in Gotham right now, trying to hunt down some evidence. Though it looks like she's going to have to be trying a lot harder, because at that very moment, one of Crane's bookshelves ends up getting pushed on top of her as a shadowy figure steals the note she was reading and runs off. Damian could have given chase, but instead Robin decided to stay behind and get the bookshelf off Lorik, in doing so saving her life. He also radios into Batman to try and get some help for the pickup. Only in doing so, he accidentally ends up eavesdropping in on Batman and Red Hood's conversation at the absolute worst possible time. You see, Batman ends up finishing off that Harvey's Night discussion by saying that Damian isn't like the rest of you children. He came to me as an assassin, broken, perhaps beyond repair. He was only ever interested in Batman, and that's why he'll never leave my side, never leave being Robin. Which, again, sounds like a massive dickhead thing to say. That is, of course, Robin ends up turning off his communicator and doesn't end up hearing the rest of what Batman had to say, and that is that the reason he's been such a dick recently is that he's quite frankly scared and jealous of the positive relationship that Damian has managed to forge with Dr. Bashir. Batman is afraid that if Robin chooses to not be Robin anymore, then that will basically end up completely dissolving their relationship, not only as a crime-fighting duo, but also as father and son, and well, that would just kill Batman because he loves Damian so much and sees so much amazing potential in him. Why, he even says that he thinks that Damian could very well be the best of all of them in the Bat family. Boy, I wish Damian wishes he kept listening, huh? As you might have guessed, when Batman and Robin make it back to the cave, things are incredibly tense. Damian vows to prove his father wrong. He is going to take Dr. Bashir's young internship at the hospital. He is going to be a healer like Thomas Wayne. He is going to catch the Memento killer on his own, and when that's done, he's going to quit being Robin forever. And it's on that note right there the comic ends, everybody. And so that was Batman and Robin issue number 18, and once again, this book continues both fascinate and infuriate me in ways that make it so I just cannot seem to drop it or look away. I said it before, but I'll say it again, this new series really does feel like some sort of alternate reality where everything that happened in the Joshua Williamson run was just instantly forgotten overnight. Damian's character has more or less been entirely reset, right down to threatening to quit being Robin every 10 seconds and leave his father to go do his own thing, which again, he's done. Why does it feel like they can only write one story for Damian over and over again? This issue might also feature maybe one of the most unlikable versions of Batman we've seen in a long time, and I get it, he's under the effect of the Gravedigger's poppy, he's afraid of losing his son, they do end up tying that all back in at the end. But even before that, just in the way he talks and in the way he acts and in the way he treats people around him, it really does showcase some of the absolute worst, prickliest parts of Batman's personality. I don't know, maybe Philip Kennedy Johnson will tie it all together in the end in a nice little bow, and maybe it'll all make sense, and maybe the journey will have been worth it, but overall, I would give this one a 6 out of 10. If you're not reading this newest Batman and Robin run, I really can't blame you. Hey there everyone, it's your pal Cape Joel again, and if you're seeing my face right now, that means you watched to the end of the video, and I'll always be grateful for that. Retention helps in this crazy YouTube game, and so does becoming a patron. If you head on down to the description, you can find a link to my Patreon page. Recently just redid all the tiers, a lot of cool stuff offering up there, exclusive commentaries, exclusive polls, behind the scenes concept art for Capes and Quest, that's the brand new D&D show I've started soon. Never been a better time to become a patron. You can become a patron for as little as $1 a month and help the channel grow and, help me continue to deliver content like what you just saw. So I want to thank you all, and I will see you again next time. Bye-bye.